Welcome back, everyone, to Dubster Live, the series where I break down an anime's English dub, and we have a laugh and have fun with it. And today's anime was another pleasant surprise. Went into it knowing nothing about it, came out thinking this could be one of the best written animes I've seen in a while. Yeah, if you want an anime that'll be very comedic one second and then emotionally hit you right in the gut the next, Kotaro Lives Alone is for you. I'm not exaggerating with that either. You'll understand when I get to the premise. So, Kotaro Lives Alone is a manga written by Maki Tsumura that had a live-action adaptation until Netflix got the rights to give it an anime adaptation in March of 2022 by Studio Liden Films, the people behind Blade of the Immortal and Bastard, both of those being the remakes, as well as the Heroic Legend of Arslan. Shows that have copious amounts of death and blood. This show doesn't have that. No, instead it has copious amounts of... Did a tear just hit my eye? Anyways, with the history lesson out of the way, I guess we should get into what the premise is. Kotaro Lives Alone follows a young boy named Kotaro, or Kotaro, however you want to pronounce it, who moves into a brand new apartment all by himself. Because, you see, his mother is dead. The only thing she left him is her life insurance to basically make sure that the rent for him will always be paid indefinitely. And he doesn't know she's dead. He believes that she just left and will one day come back for him. So he has agreed with himself to stay as strong as possible until the day she returns. Whereas his father, you might ask? Well, him and his mother ran from his father filing a restraining order against him for him being incredibly abusive. You know, the domestic violence and all that stuff. Yeah, it's one of these fun, heavy-themed animes. So Kotaro, on his own, has to form bonds with all the other tenants of the apartment as they all grow closer, each one dealing with their own trauma and backstory and all that sort of stuff. And they all eventually learn that, yeah, Kotaro might not have a family anymore, but he can still replace those bonds with new ones and get friends just as important as family. And we will get to those other tenets here in a moment. First, the animation. Everything I've heard, it's decent. Again, you already know, Mulan is back. As far as the OST, it's your typical slice-of-life affair. But yeah. I guess it's not going to knock your socks off or anything, but it's appropriate when it needs to be. As far as the reason this is called Dubster Live, let's get into that. Could the dub from LA handle all the heavy themes of getting over past trauma, learning to accept what you have in life, and treasure what's most important to you? Let's see. First, the ADR direction. We have 3 ADR directors... and 2 of them are pricks. I'm saying that because they casted themselves, most likely. First, ADR Director 1 is Jennifer Losey. ADR Director 2 is Jeremy Lee, who, by the way, plays our titular main, Kotaro. And ADR Director 3 is Michael St. Nicholas, who plays our second main character that we'll get to in a minute. Yeah. As far as the scriptwriter, it is written by Heather Gonzalez, who, by the way, is also a main character in this show. Why? But alright, enough about that. Let's get to the English dub itself. So first, Kotaro. I already went over his backstory and how he's trying to remain chipper because he himself believes he needs to so that he can one day have a family again. And, yeah... he's also allowed to join the adorable Cinnamon Bun Gang with Nanako and Honey Senpai. He must always be safe from the evils of the world. Anyways, Kotaro is voiced by, like I said, Jeremy Lee, who you'd all probably know as Lucy from Fairy Tail, Uiharu from the Certain Magical Index and Railgun franchise, and she's also voiced the Shota before, being July from Darker Than Black. Seriously, I need to watch that show again at some point. I love that show. And how does she do? Amazing. I can't front. She's probably one of the MVPs of the dub, which is desperately needed for a character as complex as Kotaro. Kotaro, likes to talk like a feudal lord and prim and proper, because his favorite show, Tono-Saman, a show about basically someone who's very prim and proper and acts very strong, inspired him to do that because he believes it'll make him strong. But that doesn't mean he can't be adorable and screw up words every now and again. For example, when Corino, our secondary main character, tells him that the apartments don't have baths, he needs to go to the bathhouse. His response is, "Ah, yes, the battle house. Clearly, surviving here is going to rely on all of my strength." Yeah. He also says afeared instead of afraid. Damn it, Jeremy Lee. She knocked this role out of the park. I'm not gonna front. Especially in the scenes where you can tell Kotaro is putting on a brave front and emotionally being messed with hard. But yeah, she did really good. After her, we have Kurino, voiced by Michael St. Nicholas. Kurino is a struggling mangaka, or manga artist, who at this point basically doesn't even care about living. He's going through the motions of life without any care in the world, and honestly, he's happy with that. Until he meets Kotaro. Kotaro basically inspires him because he sees how screwed up that, his life is, to get up and actually start putting effort into everything again and making him want to live again. Kurino himself said on numerous occasions he never once wanted to have any kids whatsoever, but Kotaro is making him rethink that, and maybe he wouldn't mind being a father someday. So he becomes the pseudo-surrogate guardian for Kotaro, in the apartment. So, yeah. Kurino is voiced by, like I said, Michael St. Nicholas, who you don't know as Dagger from Black Butler Book of Circus, or Noitora, or as I like to call Nuetra, the fifth Espada from Bleach. And he's probably the other one I would give MVP of the dub to. These two nail their roles respectively. Kurino, his laid-back attitude of being incredibly lazy and not wanting to do anything, you can slowly see his mannerisms and everything shifting as the show goes on and he gets to know Kotaro better. At first finding Kotaro an annoying pain in the ass, as he puts it, but forming a strong bond with him by the end of it. Understanding that he can sort of relate because he seemed to not be very close to his parents either. So, yeah. Anyway, after him, we have the other tenants. First, we have Isamu. Isamu is a dude who takes a real liking to Kotaro because, yeah, Isamu's a father who lost his son in a custody battle and wants to use Kotaro as a surrogate substitute. The show frames this as bad, which makes sense because nothing can replace the original in this sense, right? It's not healthy to do that sort of thing. Kotaro even asks him about it, saying, "If you're just using me as a replacement for your son, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that. I don't want to take his place in your heart. That's wrong." And yeah, it's a really good moment. This whole show is filled with stuff like that. Isamu is voiced by Kaylee McKee, who you'd all probably know as Mattias. Found out what that name was from the last time. Which is the world's strongest sage with weakest crest, as well as Yuto from the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero movie. And she's the weakest one here. I'm not gonna front. She's not bad in this role, it's just compared to everyone else, including some of the ones we have coming up, you can tell she's probably the greenest one here. Especially during the more emotional scenes, I don't think she can quite nail Isamu when he's crying at the prospect of missing his son and not being able to see him. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but she just... It didn't sound as convincing to me. So... I should also mention Isamu is judged for his appearance because he looks like a thug or whatever, but he does that whole thing, who cares what people think how I look, blah blah blah, which Kotaro inspires him to believe that way. After him, we have Mizuki. Mizuki is the female tenant here, who is a nightclub worker call girl that hates her life and gets drunk on a regular basis. until she sees how screwed up Kotaro's life is, and it inspires her. Maybe her life isn't as bad, and she could probably have it much worse. Yeah. She's voiced by Stephanie Sheh, who you all know as Harime from Kill la Kill, and Hinata from the Naruto franchise, as well as Orihime in Bleach. And yes, she too nails it out of the park. I don't think I need to say anything. It's Stephanie Sheh. So, yeah. Moving on from her, we have the next female character, who is the lawyer overseeing the funds for Kotaro's bank account. You know, because his mom's kind of dead. And she's the one that basically brings him the rent once a week, or his funds once a week, to say, here you go, use this as you need it. Her name is Kobayashi, and she is voiced by Heather Gonzalez, who you probably know as Ibuki from D4DJ First Mix, and is that Corey Cowrie, whatever the hell, from Talentless Nana. Two shows I've never seen, so can't really give anything on that. Anyway, and yeah, she does good. At first, she too seemed like she's like, oh, why do I have to oversee Kotaro? I don't want to see this shit. You know, who wants to babysit? Until she gets to him and sees how much of a brave front he's putting up and realizing what's actually going on. Then she promises to herself that she will see the case through to the end and oversee him as long as possible. So, yeah. As far as the rest of the dub cast, well, you've got Yuri Lowenthal voicing a few people, Ben Diskin voicing a few people, and that's definitely always nice. Jeremy Lee voicing Tono-Samon, the cartoon character that Kotaro's obsessed with, so Kotaro is literally imitating and quoting himself. Okay, to be fair, it might have been that way in the Weebinese version too, I don't know, but I'm still gonna point out how stupid that looks. Speaking of which, you do get Kotaro singing the, Tono-Samon theme, and yes, it is dubbed, so if you like Jeremy Lee singing, trust me, you get that. So, I know a few of you out there like that. You know who you are! Anyway, as far as the rest of the dub goes, in Kotaro's class at school, a lot of the other kids in his class are voiced by real-life young actors, and I guess they do okay. The standard that a lot of people go to is Aaron Dismuke as Alphonse in the OG FMA, and none of them hit that level, but they're fine for what they're doing, so. As far as the last one I'm going to mention on the dubcast before going over a couple of moments that really stood out to me, don't worry, nothing major spoilery, just a couple of moments to explain my stance on this show and why I think it's brilliantly handled. The last one to mention, Damon Mills. Fortunately, he's only a couple of ad voices and voices a character named Tamamori in the final episode, and that's it. A character who's there for less than 5 minutes. Damon Mills, I have one note written here when I was taking notes on this. Stay the fuck away from Kotaro, you monster. For those who don't get it, look it up. You'll understand immediately if you type this pile of dick's name in. Anyway, as far as if the mains are double casted, Kaylee Makito's voiced a couple of other characters, including Mizuki's ex-boyfriend and one of the younglings' mothers at the school. So, there's that. You have Stephanie Sheh commenting again on stuff going on with Kotaro. And I'm not talking about Mizuki either, I'm talking about a different Stephanie Sheh. It's your typical what you'd expect from LA. Now, as far as some of the scenes that really stood out, there are scenes where the kids at the school are talking about how jealous they are of Kotaro for not having to listen to parents because he can do whatever he wants since he lives on his own. Kotaro's response is, I do not have a life that any of you should wish for. Trust me. Which, to be fair, I'm pretty sure most of us had that feeling when we were younger, thinking, man, wish we could do whatever the fuck we want, not listen to people. So, there's something in that. There's also moments where Kurano's forced to watch Tono-Samon with him, and Kurano's thinking to himself, man, this cartoon sucks! Why would anyone watch this stuff? It's stupid. The characters and writing are terrible. Which I think was a message to all the parents out there who are forced to watch garbage with their young ones. Come on, I'm pretty sure everyone went and saw the Digimon movie with their parents and are looking back at it now thinking, holy shit, I owe them an apology. It reminded me of that. And I don't know. I get the feeling if someone is a parent, they'd probably also be able to appreciate a lot of the stuff in the show, but since I'm not, there are certain things I wouldn't be able to understand as much from that perspective. That doesn't mean I can't empathize with some of the situations, though. Here's an example of Kotaro being comedic and then immediately going to an emotional punch. So Kotaro runs up to a fat woman and asks her if she's being forced to eat all of her food, and that's why she's so fat. Because if so, he'll eat the food for her and help her out. Her response is to laugh and say, no, I'm just pregnant, silly. So of course it's got a chuckle out of me because I'm a dick. But, yeah. She then explains to him when he asks what does being pregnant mean, that it means she's about to have a baby. And the whole when a mommy and daddy love each other very much, a baby is born. Right? Kotaro then thinks to himself, does that mean my mother and father ever loved each other? Was there ever a point where they truly did love one another? As the pregnant woman continues to say that a baby is that just what she needed, that her and her husband can't wait, that it's a gift from above, and that it will bring them much happiness. As Kotaro feels after that, like he thinks to himself, was I a failure? Did I fail as a child for my parents because I wasn't able to bring them happiness? Is that why my father succumbed to the darkness? As you find out, he blames himself, thinking that if he wasn't as much of a hindrance or a bother and were stronger, maybe he could have helped his father not be such an abusive monster. Yeah. Can you see why I think this show might have strong writing? Isamu, after finding this out, being a father himself, says, it's not your fault, and I don't believe your father hates you, because I can't believe a father could ever hate their own son. And then he starts crying his eyes out, reflecting on his own situation. Moments like that really hit hard when you're in the zone and watching this anime. And yeah, there's a bunch of scenes like this too. There's other scenes where they celebrate Kotaro's birthday, and Kotaro's like, wait, why are we celebrating? And Mizuki says, well, it's because a birthday's supposed to be celebrated, silly. We're saying we're thankful that you were born. And Kotaro says, I had no idea my birth was something that was supposed to be celebrated. Remember, he's acting cheerful 100% of the time. He even gives this a cheerful delivery when he says it. So, yeah, it's again, I don't know. I really enjoyed this show for its good writing. I'm sure some people will disagree with me, and in a lesser show, I do agree that it would have come across as edgy, try-hard stuff, but no, the show doesn't treat it like that. It is treating it like someone just trying to get over their past trauma, and everyone coping in their own unique way. Also, this show does have some stuff that happens in reality, you know, of how it's supposed to be handled. For example, a woman having an abusive ex-boyfriend, you know, that hits her. Her first response is to go to the police. I know, what a novel concept, right? There's also a scene where Kurino is accused of stealing Mizuki's panties, and Kurino's like, I didn't do it! Comes to find out he was innocent, and Mizuki admits she was wrong and apologizes. If this were handled by Western writers, or most modern media in general, or in any generic harem tropey anime, you know exactly what would happen in this situation. So, gotta thank this anime for that, too. As far as the scene that didn't make me cry, promise you it didn't. Swear. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it was the ending. The last 5 minutes. That was the one that, yeah. So, In short, do I think you should all go watch this anime? It's only 10 episodes. Yeah, I definitely would. I highly recommend it, and this was an emotional roller coaster of an anime. It had me laughing my ass off one moment, and immediately thinking, no, bad, no tear in the eye, the next. From episode to episode. Now, I guess you could nitpick some things. Again, the ad voice recycling is bad. Damon Mills is really bad being in this anime. What? I'm not going to say he gives a bad performance, but I'm saying I don't want him in anything anymore in the anime. Fuck that. No. Get him the hell out of here. But, yeah. As far as the anime itself, everyone that you come across, even some of the side characters having their own trauma to deal with, one could say it's a bit much and meme-worthy, but I think it works in this anime's benefit for the story it's trying to tell and the message here. Everyone has their demons, and everyone is trying to cope with it in their own unique way. There are several episodes that go into this, where a coping mechanism that works for Kotaro looks really off and messed up to someone on the outside, as the show frames it in both methods of coping are equally valid, and that you need to do whatever it takes to get over your past and move forward. And honestly, I just think that's a really powerful message. So, Kotaro Lives Alone, as of right now, has no Season 2 announcement, and thankfully I'm not the only weird person on the planet, because I was like, oh, am I the only one who likes this? Am I going to be the weirdo singled out? But no. A lot of people seem to really enjoy this show. And if it doesn't get a Season 2, I won't be too disappointed. I think it ended at a really solid point. Open-ended enough where they could continue, but at the right point where they don't really need to. So, I don't think I need to say much more. Strong written characters. The relationships between them are really well handled. The dub is pretty solid for the most part. And, yeah. I guess that's it. Thank you all again so much for watching, and let me know your thoughts in the comments section if you enjoyed this show, what your thoughts were, and why a lot of you will probably waifu Mizuki if you're into that sort of thing. Or Karno, I guess. I don't know. But I mean, Mizuki's kind of hot, right? There's a lot more I could say about it, but I don't want to spoil the whole anime. All I'm saying is, anyone out there who's in for a really well-written story and them getting attached to characters and stuff, check it out. Now, that that's out of the way, we go from one of the best animes I've seen in a while to next time, where I can't avoid it anymore, one of the worst anime I've seen. Not the anime itself, the dub itself. Oh yes, we're finally talking about it. The anime that we've been memeing here on Dubster Dive for months for being a terrible English dub. No, that's not hyperbole. You'll see next time when we cover Platinum End. Thanks again so much for watching, guys. Have yourselves a fantastic day. And if you'd like us to cover something, leave it down below and we'll get around to it eventually. Hopefully. Till then. Go to the battle house and fight for your lives! See you guys.